Welcome to Mastering Enterprise Resource Planning, Strategies for Business Success. Module 1, Introduction to Enterprise Resource Planning, ERP. Submodule 1, Understanding ERP Systems. Hello and welcome to ERP Module 1, where we break down the world of enterprise resource planning and, hopefully, make it a bit less intimidating. I'm Sir Arcel, and today we're talking about the evolution of ERP, how it started, what it actually does, and why it matters for, well, pretty much any business you can think of. So let's start with the basics. What is ERP? I mean, you hear the acronym thrown around a lot, but it's not always clear what it actually means. At its core, ERP, Enterprise Resource Planning, is a system, or really a strategy that unifies all those different business functions: finance, HR, sales, manufacturing, you name it. Instead of having each department off in its own little world, ERP brings them together on a single platform. The magic, if you want to call it that, is in the integration. You've got automation. So a lot of those repetitive tasks, like payroll or invoicing, are handled automatically. And then there's the centralized database, which is just a fancy way of saying everyone's working from the same set of data. No more emailing spreadsheets back and forth, or worse, making decisions based on outdated info. I remember visiting a company a few years back. Won't name names, but let's just say they had a real problem with data silos. Each department had its own system, and honestly, it was chaos. Orders would get lost, inventory numbers were never right, and the finance team was always playing catch-up. It actually cost them a fortune in mistakes and missed opportunities. That's when they realized, hang on, we need something to pull this all together. That's where ERP comes in. And look, ERP isn't just one big monolithic thing. It's modular, so you can pick and choose the parts you need. Maybe you start with finance and HR, then add inventory or procurement later. The key is that everything talks to each other. So when a sale happens, inventory updates, production gets notified, and the financials are sorted, all in one go. It's kind of beautiful, actually. Automation and real-time data are huge here. Instead of waiting for someone to run a report at the end of the month, you've got up-to-the-minute info. That means you can react faster, spot problems before they get out of hand, and make decisions based on what's actually happening, not what you think is happening. I mean, that's the dream, right? Submodule 2, the evolution of ERP. Now, ERP didn't just appear out of thin air. Its roots go way back, like 1960s back. Originally, it was all about inventory control. Manufacturers needed a way to keep track of materials and production schedules. So they came up with these early systems called MRP, or Material Requirements Planning. Not the catchiest name, but it did the job. Over time, those systems got more sophisticated. In the 1980s, we saw MRP2, which started to include things like labor and machine capacity. Suddenly, it wasn't just about materials, but about the whole manufacturing process. And then, in the 1990s, ERP as we know it started to take shape. Companies like SAP rolled out systems. SAP R3 is a classic example that could handle finance, HR, sales, procurement, all in one place. The real game changer, though, was the move to the cloud. Instead of having to buy a bunch of servers and keep everything on site, businesses could access ERP systems over the internet. That made it way more accessible, especially for companies with offices all over the world. I remember reading about a global manufacturer. Can't recall if it was in the automotive or electronic space, but the point stands. They used a cloud-based ERP to manage operations across continents. Suddenly, everyone from the warehouse in Germany to the sales team in Brazil was working off the same data in real time. That's powerful. And now we're seeing even more innovation. AI, machine learning, mobile access. You can get predictive analytics, automate even more processes, and check your KPIs from your phone while you're, waiting for your coffee. It's wild how far things have come. Sub-Module 3. Benefits, Challenges, and Best Practices. So why go through all the trouble of implementing an ERP system? Well, the benefits are pretty compelling. First off, you get efficiency, streamlined workflows, less manual work, and fewer mistakes. Real-time analytics mean you can see what's happening across the business instantly, which is a massive advantage for decision-making. And then there's resource optimization. You're not overstocking inventory or missing out on sales because of bad data. But, and it's a big but, ERP isn't a magic bullet. There are challenges, sometimes big ones. The costs can be high, especially upfront. These systems are complex, and getting them to fit your unique business processes can take a lot of customization. And then there's the human side. People don't always love change, especially when it means learning a whole new way of working. I've seen companies struggle with this. One that comes to mind had been running on a patchwork of legacy systems for years. When they finally decided to move to ERP, it was rough at first. Lots of resistance, a few missed deadlines, the usual. But they took a phased approach, rolling out one module at a time and investing heavily in training. It wasn't quick, but it worked. By the end, people actually preferred the new system, and the business was running smoother than ever. If you're thinking about ERP for your own organization, my advice, well, based on what I've seen and, the research, is to start with a clear needs assessment. Get everyone involved early, and don't try to do everything at once. Phased rollouts and solid training make a world of difference. And keep checking in, because there's always room to tweak and improve. All right, That's all for today's episode on the evolution of ERP. We've covered what ERP is, how it's changed over the years, and what it takes to make it work. There's a lot more to dig into, so stick around for future lessons where we'll get into the nitty-gritty of ERP selection, implementation, and maybe even a few horror stories. Thanks for listening, and I'll catch you next time. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you won't miss any of our future uploads. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. And if you have any questions or topics you'd like me to cover next, let me know. If you prefer more detailed info, you can grab a copy of Mastering Enterprise Resource Planning: Strategies for Business Success.